Aside from the Pokemon games, I don't really have a lot of experience when it comes to playing RPGs with turn-based combat systems. However, I'm currently playing through Sea of Stars and I'm pleasantly surprised to find myself having a fun time with this game. I really like what they did with the combat and found the game to be well paced with a compelling story with good characters and a gorgeous world to explore made with such beautiful pixel art. I mean, just look at that huge dragon. But I am getting ahead of myself, so without further ado, I present to everyone my adventure within the world of Sea of Stars. We start our adventure on Moon Cradle Island with our young heroes Valerie, Zale, and Carl. Carl is just your average kind-hearted kid. On the other hand, Valerie and Zale are special kids that shows great potential to become splendid Solstice warriors, which is essentially the protectors of the world. They had to check out the Forbidden Cavern, which is not really the wisest and safest decision, but hey, they're just kids. Fortunately, the cave is closed and sealed off for any meddling kids that might try and enter. Well, I guess that comes for everyone at some point. We enter the cave, then quickly realize that we are for sure going to die. Garl got a pretty nasty stab wound. Fortunately, Headmaster Moraine came to the rescue and was able to heal Garl. With this incident, Headmaster Moraine figured that it was time to start Valerie and Zale's training to become full-fledged Solstice warriors. They say their farewells to Garl, then they head out towards Zenith Academy to begin their training. Here we learn about the Dwellers and the dangers that they impose upon the world, and when left too long undisturbed, they will eventually become world eaters. That's why Valerie and Zale must prepare and become Solstice warriors to stop this from happening by performing the cleansing during an eclipse. And thus our story to save the world finally begins. Many years has passed. Our young heroes are now grown up and are now ready to take the final test to prove that they have what it takes to become a Solstice warrior. But before that, we are introduced to the combat by Elena and Brabraves. They are also Solstice warriors and are kinda like the parental figures for Valerie and Zale. As I said, I really like what they did with the combat in this game. Aside from the traditional turn-based combat, Sea of Stars also utilizes timed action button presses, which boosts the outcome of the player's actions, whether it be healing, dealing damage, defending, or sometimes even landing multiple attacks. There is also a stagger mechanic where an enemy would require to be attacked by certain damage types, and if done successfully, they wouldn't be able to do anything for that turn. I really like these additions because it makes the combat more engaging. It also feels like I'm taking an active role in a fight rather than mindlessly scrolling through a menu, especially in smaller scale encounters. As we conclude the tutorial, we enter a small dungeon in Zenith Academy to begin our test. After a few fights and exploring, we reach the area boss, threw the sun at him, and beat him to death. Right after we passed our test, we were set off to begin our adventure and we returned to the Forbidden Cavern. But this time, we're way stronger and well prepared, so after a few battles, we found our way out of the cave and what the f*** is that? So we fight this thing, then Valerie got knocked down, but she's not out of the fight yet. I forgot to mention that if a character got knocked down, they can return to the fight in X amount of turns indicated by the number of stars floating above them as long as anyone in the party stays alive. So I bought some time for Valerie to get back up, then proceeded to senselessly beat this thing out of existence. After the fight, we head out the cave and decided to set up camp for the night until... Hey, Carl. Oh, okay, it's just... Wait a minute. How did you get here before we... We had to fight a literal Doomworm a moment ago just to get here, and how did he even open the door? Can Carl use magic? Confusing plot points aside, we catch up to Garl and what he's up to, and apparently he's also been training and gaining some practical experiences to accompany Valerie and Zale on their journey. With him joining the party as a warrior cook, we also gain the access to cook in every rest site to provide our character with consumables that will be helpful in tough encounters. And I'm just going to say this now, but if anything happens to Garl in this adventure, I am going to stop playing this game immediately. We rest up for the night, then we continued heading up the mountains to meet the Elder Mist. He taught us how to use magic without using magic, which doesn't make sense, but what it means in gameplay is that whenever you hit an enemy, they will drop these little orbs that your characters can absorb to infuse their next normal attack with magic, which will now inflict 2 damage types depending on the character. Elder Mist then puts us in a task where we can only use this new ability that we learned. After a few simple fights, some puzzle solving, and round quiz answers, we battled the Elder Mist, who is surprisingly strong. I eventually got him after a few tries. I found that it's easier to fight him if you immobilize his arm first, because that thing hits like a truck and swipes everyone in the party. Anyway, we finished the task. Elder Mist taught us the ability to manipulate time, then got yeeted off the island. Somehow, we safely arrived in Sleeper Island. We head down the mountain where we meet Tix, who is a traveling historian which studies artifacts and discovers the stories within them. She joins us for the meantime, then we get to Stonemason's outpost where we arrived in a pretty bad time. Apparently, an evil earth wizard named Malkomad is clogging up the wind tunnels that are responsible for keeping this hugest dragon asleep, or else it will destroy the world. So, yeah, we investigated what was happening, and it turns out Malkomad is not really the bad guy. We learned that Malkomad is not like the others in the village, but instead of guiding him and how to use his unique powers, everyone just berated him and pretty much treat him as an outcast. I'm now more inclined to believe that the villagers in Stonemason's outpost probably deserve what was coming for them. Hashtag justice for Malkomad. Made peace with Malkomad, told the villagers that they're jerks, then we set off to the port town of Brisk. While exploring the town of Risk, we come across this group of pirates. We ask them for a ride to the next island, but they will only do so if we win in an arm wrestling competition, which should be easy because they're sending out this guy against our very own Carl. Well, we probably should have seen that coming. As a result of that arm wrestling match, we were tasked to fetch a token which they will use to get a pirate ship called the Vespertine. We arrive at the lab where the token is supposed to be. After messing with some balls and lights, we find the boss, but I realized I forgot to rest and heal up before starting the fight, which scared me for the whole encounter. Oh no, they all save. Thankfully, the boss wasn't that tough. He was vulnerable to most of my attacks, but he does summon these things that almost one-shot in Valerie. We got the token, showed it to the pirates, then they finally agreed to take us to Wraith Island. After some smooth sailing, we arrived at the docks of Wraith Island. We head to a tavern in the town of Descent where we learned about the current state of the village. And no one's surprised, the island is cursed where no one can live. Coincidentally, we also witnessed a phenomenon where the dweller would mind control someone from the town to be sacrificed. As Solstice Warriors, we tried to intervene by working our way through the cursed woods and up to the mansion to try and stop the dweller from doing their thing. Thankfully, we arrived just in time but was not able to save the villager because the mind control was just too strong. With a heavy heart, we decided that it's probably better to head back for the meantime and wait for reinforcements to arrive. And suddenly... Oh no, Carl. Oh no, Carl. Oh no. No. Bruh. That girl. Okay, what did I just said? And I'm just going to say this now, but if anything happens to Garl in this adventure,
I am going to stop playing this game immediately.
Thankfully, a mysterious assassin shows up and helps us immobilize and save Carl from getting snatched. She joins the party, then we return to the tavern to formulate a plan on how to save Carl. Hang in there, buddy. Sarai, the mysterious assassin, suggests that we must infiltrate the lair of a necromancer named Ramaya to fetch a soul stone to undo the dweller's mind control. With seemingly no other choice, we had Ease of Lucent and made a deal with the poetic ferryman to take us near the lair of the necromancer. We arrived at the flooded graveyard and were immediately ambushed by a group of tough enemies, which also for some reason really hates Valerie. What? After some exploring, we fight a Duke named Maverick, who is a very nice guy if you ignore the fact that he is trying to kill us. With some perseverance, I somehow managed to defeat him. Thankfully, it was a 3v1 fight because that guy was resistant to all of my attacks. After the fight, the Duke taught Zale a new combat skill. Yay! Then we proceeded to enter the Necromancer's lair. Unfortunately, it wasn't that easy due to the seals that blocks the door to where the Necromancer is. And the only way to progress is to defeat these 3 big skeletons that hits like a school bus just like everyone else in this area. Ooh, yay! Anyway, we defeated the 3 skeletons that seals the door. Along the way, I also got a hook shot which opens up more possibilities of areas that I can explore. The only thing that I need to do is to get the soul stone then dip out. But I have to face up Ramaya first. The battle was not that hard. The only really scary thing about the fight are the enemies that Ramaya summoned because those guys deals a lot of damage. Zale got knocked off but I managed to power through by keeping the party healed up. In the end, we beat Ramaya. Got the soul stone, also a green flame, and then returned to the tavern. We used the soul stone to free Garl from the mind control. After some waiting, Garl finally wakes up. Ooh, what a relief. Coincidentally, the cavalry has arrived with Headmaster Moraine, Brograves, and Erlina. Which also means that it's finally time to get rid of the Dweller once and for freaking all. As we arrive at the mansion, an eclipse also started to occur, which gave us the strength that we needed to banish the Dweller. We split into groups and our task is to clear the enemies leading to the garden. We fought some angry books and a bunch of lovebirds, and yes, they deserved it. I'm not bitter, shut up. At one point, I also had to make a Master Ghost sandwich, and for whatever reason, I struggled more on this one compared to the countless fights I have done in this game. 3, 1, 2, 4, 3... Huh? FR4... First one. Yes. I'm so confused. After some simple puzzle solving, we arrive at the garden which we encounter the most annoying and boring fight that I have done in this game. So how this fight goes is that I have to destroy the little plants first before I attack the big main plant or else it wouldn't do damage. And you would think that once I destroy the little plants it's over, right? But no, I have to do it 3 more times while also trying to keep my team from dying, which I will admit I got bored and a little annoyed. Thankfully it was all over. We head back to where everyone was supposed to meet after their task is done, and finally it's time to fight the Dweller. Finally, after many years of training, the final test of our strength is upon us. Time to destroy all Dwellers and make the world a much safer place. We entered the room where the Dweller is, then Headmaster Moraine casted a rune to weaken it and it's time to fight. I really like this fight because I got to see Erlina and Brograves fight alongside with me. However, I must admit I'm a little jealous because their attacks are way better and looks cooler than mine. But no matter how cool or strong their attack is, it's still no match for the Dweller's strength and it's not even fighting in its true form yet. We rely on Garl to find a way to expose everyone from the eclipse, in which is splendidly done. The Dweller finally reveals its true form and we got a power boost from the eclipse as well. All that's left to do is to destroy the Dweller once and for all. Fought long and hard, dealing as much damage as we could while making sure everyone is safe and all healed up. Then, it is over. The last Dweller in existence has finally been defeated. The only thing left to do is to destroy the core and the world will become a safer place. All of a sudden, Sarah shows up. And at first it seems like she's working against us, but it turns out Erlina and Brogreaves were the ones trying to betray us all along. Apparently, they don't want to be Solstice warriors anymore, so they summoned a dweller that is stronger than the last thing we fought just so they can live free without having to deal with their responsibilities. After a shocking turn of events, everyone heads back to the tavern. All hope seems lost at this point, but as Solstice warriors, we can't just sit still and watch the world suffer in chaos. Let Headmaster Moraine formulate a plan on what to do next while recovering. Meanwhile, our party set their destination back to Brisk and offer our help in protecting the townspeople, which will have to happen in the next episode of Sea of Stars. I know. It sucks that this has to be a two-part series, and if given the time and choice, I would also prefer to cram the entire game into one video. But this will have to do for now. With that said, if you enjoyed what you watched and would like to see the conclusion of this series and other videos in the future, you might want to consider subscribing to the channel and turning on the notifications, and that way you will get updated whenever a new video comes out. Also, if you reached this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I can see you again on the next video. Bye bye, and always stay safe.